Obtaining 10x rewards. Reincarnated into a novel as a side character. By Winterdragon_1. Chapter 54, Being Followed? What the fuck? Was that a big amount to these people? They're going to bid more, right? Oliver heard the auctioneer suddenly announce. 200 million Neden, is no one willing to bid higher? His heart sank when he heard that. He couldn't afford that at all, nor did he intend to buy that ugly demon. 220 million. Fortunately for him, the bidding resumed as he heaved a sigh of relief and almost slumped back into the plump cushion of his chair. In fact, 200 million was indeed not too big of an amount for the people above. They all belonged to wealthy backgrounds. The reason that there was silence in the hall was due to the fact that someone like him, who appeared to be nothing more than an attention-grabbing stupid brat, dared to bid such an amount casually. Not to mention, him directly provoking the people on the floor above was also very brave of him. Some people could not help but secretly admire the thick skin of brainless young masters. Sure enough, the rich young masters didn't care about the future. They lived in the present and offended people left and right without giving face to their status. Cough. Oliver coughed awkwardly as he remained silent and didn't dare to joke around more. 240 million. The bid had reached a great scale, and now even the people on the second floor were hesitant to spend more, pondering if they should bid more or stop. It was at that moment when a cold feminine voice cut through every thought across the hall. 300 million Neden. A huge amount which directly extinguished any hesitance others had. Jenna Sullivan had placed her bid. The air was oppressive and no one dared to bid against her. They all were aware of how terrifying this woman was. Despite being in the territory of Mystic Purge clan, she operated without fear and was ruthless. She belonged to the Black Codex Federation. One of the executives of that giant superpower. It was not their place to even dream to compete with her. They knew that unless you were someone from an equal background to her or greater, you practically had no chance to win against her in terms of money. And many people were aware that she was a narrow-minded woman and would attack them in other ways if they offended her in the future. It was better to not mess with her and get on bad terms with the Black Codex Federation for this demon. In a way, she was very similar to Oliver. The auctioneer saw this and directly announced. The item now belongs to number 37. Congratulations. With this, the auction also ends. Buyers can collect their purchased items from behind the hallway. The servants will be attending to your needs and all transactions will take place there. Thank you for attending the auction. With that, the auctioneer left and the men also took the caged demon away. Congratulations, sir, for your purchase. Please come this way, we will proceed with the transactions here. Your item is in this package. A polite man said to Oliver as he handed him a small glass box with the stone in it. All right, lead the way. He told the man as he looked around to see many of the guests inspecting their items and making payments to the staff. He had already checked using Cosmic Void Gaze and verified it was the real thing that the man had given him. Of course, he was still in his mask and cap. Oh. Miss Sullivan, I am honored to be graced by your presence today. A fat woman in a sparkling red dress said aloud, not caring about surroundings. Behind her were 3 exorcists serving as guards as well. It was evident that she was probably the manager of today's event and has personally come to deliver items Jenna had purchased to her. Jenna was a superior person unlike the ordinary him, so it was normal for her to be received by high-profile people as well. Don't waste my time. Hurry up and bring the items. Jenna replied in a tone colder than ice, making the surrounding people gasp. The fat woman in the red dress could not help but pop a vein on her forehead in anger, but she still maintained a professional strained smile. As you wish, they will be here shortly. Well, if you'll excuse me. The woman in red quickly left before suffering any further insult. She could not argue with Jenna, she was not in a position to in the first place. Jenna's status and power were way above hers, so she could only bear it. Oliver, who was far and heard it, could not help but exclaim secretly at her unfriendliness and lack of IQ. With this sort of attitude, he could only imagine the number of people she must have offended in the past. No wonder, she was so cold. She must have no friends. Jenna, who was impatient, felt his gaze and turned her head to look at him. She felt he was again looking at her pitifully, which she didn't like at all for some reason. She frowned and ignored him. She had made it clear that she did not want to be related to him in the public or it'll bring annoyances her way considering his special status. It was clear she wanted her relationship with him to be strictly professional. Oliver saw this and did not look at her again. He took out the black card and handed it to the polite staff to make the transaction. The man looked at the golden C engraved on the card and could not help but feel surprised. Someone else from the Black Codex Federation? Nonetheless, he quickly did the payment and escorted him out. Underscore 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 underscore. After coming out of the auction, he heaved a breath of relief. Fortunately, he did not encounter troublesome things at the auction, and everything went smoothly. I should get going now. He walked towards the exit of the market, but in the middle of his way, he suddenly turned around. He moved in random directions and stopped. I am being followed? Who is it? He wondered. He could sense the other party tailing behind him trying to be discreet, but he was able to catch their movements. It indicated one thing. They were novices and didn't know that he had already sensed them. Shaking his head, he decided to confront the person directly. He didn't want someone to follow him back to his courtyard and bother him at night. He quietly led his follower towards a desolate and silent area, somewhat far away from the bustling marketplace. Suddenly he turned backward and rushed to the person in cloak. Chapter 55, Lucia Veza. He turned around abruptly and, making use of his high speed, went directly towards a distant figure who was most likely following him, catching the latter off guard. Seeing him in high speed, the person in the cloak was shocked and quickly tried to flee, only to be tackled to the ground by him. Oliver got straight to the point. Grabbing the throat of the cloaked person, he asked with cold eyes. Who are you? His voice was sharp and low. Why were you following me? He tightened his grip as the figure tried to shake off his hand and escape. He threatened, if you move too much, I'll directly crush your neck and kill you. Answer my questions and I'll let you live. Who ordered you to follow me? The flailing figure stopped moving around when his words were heard. Seeing this, Oliver lessened his grip. Naturally, he had no intention to kill. He had never killed an animal, let alone a human before. It would be weird if he suddenly became a cold-blooded killer. He just threatened the person to make them stop. In this world, such killings were common, so a smart person would know when to surrender. He said, let's take off your hood, I would like to see your face. He used his other hand and directly removed the hood covering the person's head. Wavy and shiny crystal blue hair emerged from underneath the hood. His eyes slowly widened behind his mask as he saw the face of the woman. Ding! Lucia Veza. Does the host wish to bind with the individual? Lucia Veza. What is she doing here? He was quite surprised seeing one of the major characters of the novel right in front of him. He swiftly declined the system and looked back at her. She had ink blue-colored eyes which were strained at the moment and glaring at him. She had a small button nose and glossy pink lips. Her skin was fair and devoid of blemishes. She said in a low voice, "Let me down. I'll talk." Hearing this, he came back to his senses and calmly released his grip on her throat. He knew she must have something to say to him if she followed him for so long. Also, he did not feel good holding someone by their throat. "Speak," he said. He did not waver much and maintained a stoic persona while internally he was wondering if he should reveal himself or not. In the end, he decided not to do so. He was curious about her reason. Why was she here and what was she doing here? He could understand that she was probably here for the auction to sell the things. I am Lucia Veza. Actually, the stone that you purchased, well, I am the one who put that on auction," she said, her tone faltering slightly, displaying her lack of confidence and hesitance. So what? Oliver questioned, so what if she was the seller? He had purchased the artifact now and was the official owner of it. And not to mention, the auction house strictly forbade its sellers to directly approach its clients and demand things back. This action of hers could give her a permanent ban from the auction circle for a lifetime, with her merchant status getting revoked as well. She continued, I am sorry, this may sound ridiculous and unrelated to you, but please listen to me for a moment. I know I am being a bother right now, but this is very important to me that I let you know of this. Oliver calmly asked. What is it? Seeing that he was not leaving or attacking her again, Lucia was relieved. She told him. Actually, the stone you are currently taking with you is the family heirloom of the Veza family, an exorcist family in seclusion. I am not sure if you have ever heard of our name, but my family was very prominent some decades ago. She paused before continuing, but at the moment, although I feel ashamed to admit it, we have fallen and are now suffering to maintain our long-existing family. It has become a tenth of what it once used to be. The stone in your hands, I don't know why, but it's the heirloom that has been passed in my family from generation to generation. Her eyes turned somewhat desperate and moist. Clenching her fist, she lowered her head. I beg of you, could you please return this to me? Her body trembled slightly, displaying how difficult it must have been for an heiress to bow down to someone and beg for something. Unfortunately, that cannot happen. Please. I beg of you, please. I am willing to put anything online in exchange for it. She cut him and pleaded. Then why did you even put it up on the auction in the first place if you had never intended to sell it? He paused and asked something first. That. It's a complex story. She narrated the story of how she came from the mountains and how the thing and auction happened to now. So basically, to summarize, her father had realized that she had stolen artifacts from the household and was enraged and regretful. He could not just come to the Mystic Purge clan suddenly now, and it would take him a considerable amount of time to even reach them. So, he used his connections and delivered her a message through which she came to know that the stone she had thought was useless and ordinary was actually her family heirloom. Initially, she was shocked, but she trusted her father and asked the auction staff to give the stone back. However, by then it was already too late. She felt that no one would buy that stone considering its lacking look and uses. She had just picked it up at random from the treasure vault while leaving her house. Even she felt that the stone would not sell, but when she heard from her father that it was actually their family inheritance, she was shocked. The stone was definitely not ordinary and was directly tied to the secret of the past when her ancestors were great exorcists. She regretted ever auctioning the stone. At the same time, she was quite in awe that Oliver was keen enough to see through the special stone. Why were you following me secretly like this then? Why didn't you directly approach me? He could not help but be curious. It's because of your suspicious get-up. You are dressed like a kidnapper, so. She spoke in a somewhat straight tone, leaving Oliver speechless. Come to think of it, he was indeed dressed suspicious. A black summer cap, a mask covering full face. He shook his head of such thoughts and looked at her oblivious face. Sigh, why is she so naive? Had she told this to a villain character, then it would have remained a dream to even get the artifact back. Chapter 56, She Got Scammed? Sigh, why is she so naive? Had she told this to a villain character, then it would have remained a dream to even get the artifact back. She was recklessly following him thinking he wouldn't notice, but he was smart and knew the person tailing him was a novice, and only then did he dare to attack. In fact, she seemed quite clueless at the moment. It might be due to the fact that she had come from the mountains and was still learning about the world. In the novel, she had later become a more intelligent person than she was now. Seeing that the masked person was silent, Lucia felt anxious that he was not going to give it back to her. She would never be able to face her father again if she lost this. Unfortunately, Please reconsider it. She bowed even deeper, clasping her hands together and looking at him. Could you stop cutting me off? I will just leave if you keep doing that, he said annoyedly. Oh, yes, please say. What I was saying was that I cannot give this artifact to you now. Lucia felt depressed when she heard this, but her ears perked up slightly when she heard the word now. Confusedly, she glanced at him. You heard that right, I cannot give this to you now, but I can give it to you in the future when I am done with using it. Oh. Oliver looked at her and nodded internally. It was better to be in contact with her in the future. He might be able to have a positive relationship with the main protagonist in the future. But what do you need this stone for? Do you know about it? Lucia asked curiously. Even she did not know what this stone was used for. She had only heard her father emphasize its importance in the message. Never had she heard from him about it or its uses. So, now that someone seemed to know about the stone artifact, she naturally wanted to know. It's nothing. He was about to say something but paused. She should come to know about this herself. If he told her about this, then it would only unnecessarily complicate matters. How could it be nothing? You were just about to tell something. What is it? The blue-haired girl asked with an expression of intensity. She felt that he clearly knew what the artifact was and its uses but decided not to inform her. It made her feel more interested to know what her family heirloom did exactly. You will know in due time, ask your father about it, he will explain it to you better. Oliver calmly said, which made her eyes widen. You know my father. She could not believe that the person who had purchased the stone even knew her father. This made her feel Oliver was definitely not a simple person. While their family has fallen now, her father still considered himself a proud exorcist and had a very limited circle. The people he was in contact with were also not simple, so she was inclined to believe that Oliver was also not ordinary. This somehow made her trust him more. Earlier, she was feeling uneasy that he might leave with her artifact and never return it, but now she felt that he might return it to her in the future. If he knew about the artifact that was her family's heirloom, then it must mean he was close to either her father and mother, or else it was almost impossible to know such a deep secret about her family. You can think of it that way. Anyways, you ask your father later, he told her. He thought for a moment as he stared at her deep eyes before saying, I'll return this stone to you in a few years. You don't need to worry about how and why. And if I am not wrong, you'll be attending the academy at that time. Lucia was simply unable to speak anything at the moment. This person in the mask seems to have made a deep and long plan already. He even told her that she would be attending the academy at the time he'll return the stone back. She had planned to enroll in the academy indeed, but this news was something she had only discussed with a few people in her family. So for him to know that she'll be going to the academy made her feel weird. Not to mention, she was not even sure that she would be accepted into the institute of such talented exorcists. Sir, if I may, what's your name? You seem to know my family deeply. She bent her neck a little and asked hesitantly. She felt that it was proper to address this person as Sir, he was clearly a superior exorcist with great power. She could not sense even a hint of despair from him. You don't need to know. I'll be taking my leave if that's all. Remember to train hard, the times about to come will be difficult but you must persist. Oliver refrained from sharing anything with her at the moment. He encouraged her slightly to train harder so she could grow stronger faster and make the world peaceful with the protagonist quickly for him to live. Lucia seemed to want to say something more, but the words could not come out of her mouth. She felt a heated feeling in her heart, an expert exorcist actually gave her encouragement personally? This was the same feeling she felt whenever her father personally supervised her training. She felt motivated and energized. If possible, in the future, she would definitely like to know who it was. She was a bit disappointed that she was not able to get his name considering she was thinking about asking her father about him later. She took a deep breath and went her own way to look for opportunities to grow stronger and reply to her father's message about the current situation with the mysterious man. She returned back and contacted her father and told him about the details. Underscore 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 underscore. A person I know took the stone of sight and said he'll return it to her some years later. He also seems to know what it's used for. He even knew she will be enrolling in the academy in the future. Lucia's father received the message from her daughter about the situation and was stunned. She even said that he was a close friend of mine? What's going on? Why did he not remember anyone with a mask and cap on his friend list? Was this friendship supposed to be one-sided? Fuck. She did not get scammed, right? He could not help but curse in anger. The Stone of Sight was now in the hands of a complete stranger, and they had no clue who it was. The situation could not be any worse. It's over, my family is now over, father, grandfather. I could not keep the one thing that you entrusted me with so much importance, it's over, all over. Lucia's father weakly fell onto the floor, his eyes unfocused and sunken. Dear, please handle yourself. His wife quickly supported him. Right now, she was fuming with anger as well. That stupid daughter. Chapter 57, Truth About the Stone. Dear, please handle yourself. His wife quickly supported him. Right now, she was fuming with anger as well. Her daughter had finally done the unthinkable. She had always been an honest and sincere child, but now she showed such stupidity that invalidated all her past achievements. She actually dared to auction the family treasures so brazenly. It's all my fault. I failed to raise her properly. No, it's not your fault alone. We have failed as parents. I don't know what will become of our family now. The only hope I had was placed on the Stone of Sight. It was supposed to be used to awaken Lucia's bloodline, and now it's gone. Didn't she say that she was confident that the stranger will return the artifact back in a few years? If so, then there's still. Are you crazy? Do you actually believe that? Lucia is naive and unreliable when it comes to such matters. She's only good when it comes to talent. Her social skills are limited just like her knowledge about the world. The father reprimanded the mother. Hearing this, she fell silent. His words did seem to make sense after all. No matter how supportive she was, she knew her daughter well. He slowly got up, supporting himself with the help of his wife. Where are you going now? I cannot trust Lucia. I need to go and find the artifact myself, or at least find a solution to this mess, or else we are completely doomed, he said in a resolute tone. What are you even going to do? Lucia's mother could not help but ask uncertainly. I'll try to see if I can find the stranger first by asking around first. If push comes to shove, I still have some connections with the Mystic Purge clan. The clan? You think they will help us? They had long moved forward. You'll only be making a fool of yourself among those high-class noble exorcists. We both know they detest low-class powerless exorcists like us. She could not help but warn worriedly. I know, but I must do something or I'll never be able to live properly. He said with eyes closed as he recalled some memories of the past. Taking a deep breath, he told his wife, I'll be leaving for the central area. I need to teach Lucia a lesson as well. With that, he left the room in a hurry, leaving behind a worried woman. Oh, Lucia, my child. What have you done, causing so much trouble to your father? I hope he won't be too harsh on her. It was clear that her father was a paranoid person. Underscore 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 underscore. Zippy, I am back. Oliver announced as usual and received a lazy meow in response back. The cat was laying in the courtyard on its back with its bloating belly upwards. She had just eaten and was now laying around in laziness. His lips could not help but twitch at the useless cat. Her antics were very undignified for a reputed clan guardian. He directly ignored the cat and went inside. He placed the Stone of Sight in a secure box and rested by the side. I have now acquired the artifact, now I need 2 more things before I can awaken future sight. He thought in a composed state. The first condition for this stated that the individual must sacrifice their sight in order to become a vessel capable enough to handle its power. But naturally, he was not interested in doing that. With cosmic void gaze, he could easily bypass this condition. He was already a strong enough vessel. It would be more or less like adding an attribute of future sight to the cosmic void gaze. The second one is the difficult one to achieve at the moment. He looked at the rapier laying by his side and lightly brushed it with his fingers as he remembered the second condition Lucia had to undergo in order to awaken her latent potential. The trial of Oracle. It was a trial that one must undergo if they wished to use the Stone of Sight at any cost. It was a trial that was there conducted by the mysterious being Oracle in order to find people worthy to inherit the powers. Anyone succeeding in the trial would directly become a prophetic kin. But the trial was held in the Mountains of Mist, which was a place located quite far from the Mystic Purge clan. Not to mention, the coordinates of the place where the trial was supposed to be were hard to locate. It was more or less like a test as soon as one stepped foot in the mountains. After all, a seer must be able to see all paths and find the correct one out of the many misleading ones. If I succeed in clearing the trial, I could awaken the bloodline that Lucia was able to obtain as well. He pressed onto the rapier as he thought about it. He could not use Lucia as a medium to obtain tenfold benefits this time. First of all, he was already tied to Nadia at the moment and had no plans to switch targets. He didn't know when Lucia was going to awaken the bloodline. It would probably be quite late in the future. He didn't have the patience to wait that long. By then, he might have already met with the main protagonist of the novel. Not only that, Lucia had little training benefits to offer as compared to Nadia. Nadia, being the rich miss of the clan, had countless resources at her disposal, so her growth rate was faster than Lucia's, who belonged to a poor family with little resources to spare. Not to mention that she was now on her own training by herself, which would slow her down even more. It was not worth it. The Veza family seems to believe that it was their latent bloodline that was awakened by the Stone of Sight, while in fact it was not entirely the case. Their ancestor was able to clear the trial of Oracle and was thus able to obtain the famed bloodline called Tomorrow's Path. However, since he married a weak woman afterwards, his children were not able to inherit the powerful blood in his veins. The Stone of Sight was something like a key that he had managed to obtain from the place where the trial was held. The artifact was a sort of key that helped the bearer bypass some difficult stages and advance. It was not clearly mentioned but only in brief. Lucia's grandfather was the last person who knew of these things, but unfortunately he died in the battlefield, not able to clearly teach his son about this stuff. Oliver could not help but shake his head when he realized this. Chapter 58, Preparations for the Demon Hunt. But well, whatever it may be, fate or destiny, Lucia was able to somehow find the place of trial, and through a series of fights with her other companions, she cleared the Oracle's trial and was thus rewarded with the awakening of Tomorrow's Path, bloodline. Haha, what a plot! Oliver could not help but clap lightly. This was very much fate or destiny for Lucia. He wanted to obtain the bloodline as well. Tomorrow's Path was a powerful bloodline revolving around Oracle and fate. He would be stupid to let this opportunity fly past him. I will need to leave the clan. I need this bloodline before going to the academy. Oliver thought with a serious look in his eyes. He felt it was better to train on his own. According to his calculations, he wouldn't be able to grow much if he remained in the clan. His treatment in the clan was not the best, and giving treasures to Nadia was becoming difficult. She would not accept it and would strongly insist against him meeting her. With the way things were, it would be quite difficult for him to remain in much contact with her. She was not naive either. He could not trick her into using the treasures and artifacts to grow, as he had hoped. He realized that he had very little control in this situation. People were not as easy as depicted in the novels he was used to reading. He realized this, fortunately, and now he must plan his growth accordingly. Staying in the clan was not optimal. Sure, Nadia could grow powerful over time, and so would he, but then what would be the use of him reincarnating in this fantasy world? He wanted to explore the world himself as well, see the various mystical things. If he waited until he got strong, then it would be a big waste. There would always be someone stronger than him, so did that mean he needed to wait until he became the strongest? How much time would that take? Some centuries? He was a normal human and did not have that level of patience. He could never spend centuries doing the same thing and following a single routine every day. He would die of boredom. He could not understand how the novel protagonists would suddenly become like ascetic monks after experiencing reincarnation. Being able to spend 1,000 years in some random cave or being a janitor in some sect only to come out when enemies invaded? Maybe they were indeed extraordinary, but he sure was not, and nor did he intend to spend the majority of his life in one place. Anyways, it was something he must do sooner or later. For now, it was impossible to leave the clan. The demon hunt was coming up, and there was no way he could sneak out. Maybe I should ask for Jenna's help? He felt she might be able to help him somehow leave the clan. Or should I let the clan guardian help me with this one? He thought of the pristine white cat and felt she could take him out very easily. Or I could try to sneak out myself. For now, he put his thoughts to rest. There was nothing much he could do in this for now. He should be focusing on growing stronger first. He was not even sure if leaving the clan relying on his own was even possible, and not to mention that after the demon hunt, how would the clan react? Would his treatment be better than before? Would he still need to leave the clan at that time? Would there be schemes involved revolving around him? He must wait patiently. The demon hunt was an important event, not from the novel's perspective but from his clan's perspective. Basically, the contents were always different, but the main crux was that the heirs would be thrown between demons and would be asked to hunt them. The stronger the demon they were able to hunt down and bring back, the greater the chance of victory in the event. Oliver got up and clutched the rapier in his hand. He was going to train now. Underscore 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 underscore. Just like that, days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Oliver barely interacted with Nadia during this time. He had grown numb to her cold attitude by now. She would not even look at him if by chance they ever met face to face. Nonetheless, he tried not to mind her behavior and kept trying from time to time to tempt her with artifacts and elixirs. He had to say she had a strong mental fortitude for a 6-year-old. He doubted that exorcists outside would ever refuse a free elixir or artifact. Well, they would even try to kill him to get it, and here she was. He received some occasional strength boosts from her during the following months. And his body status was now something like this. Underscore 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 underscore. Name, Oliver Mystic. Race, human. Strength, level 4. Espera, level 1. Charisma, level 3. Luck, level 2. Underscore 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 underscore. The demon hunt will begin in a week. Oliver muttered as he wiped off his sweat after an intense training session. In the good span of many months, he did not dare to slack at all. He received tenfold strength boosts during these months and thus trained as a physical exorcist. He decided to specialize so that he would not be lacking compared to others of a sane level in strength. Although he did not get any techniques other than Sovereign Strike of Infinite Freedom from Nadia, he paid that no heed and instead searched for new weapon techniques himself. The market was huge, and there were all sorts of mysterious sellers. It was hard to find good techniques, but he was persistent and was thus able to get some good stuff. It's only a week before I will be in the presence of the elders and the other heirs. I must prepare myself for this mentally as well. He looked at the various equipment laying around him, a rapier, a spear, a dagger, and an axe. Of course, he was someone from the modern world, and he knew just how useful versatility could be when it came to mastering weapons. He would naturally not limit himself to 1 or 2 weapons. Mastering more weapons was better for him. In the future, if he bound himself to another target specializing in another weapon, style, and art, he would have difficulties adapting if he was already not accustomed. Chapter 59, Children from Vassal Families. Being talked about. In the future, if he bound himself to another target specializing in another weapon, style, and art, he would have difficulties adapting to that if he were not already accustomed. Thus, it was important for him to learn these things himself and put some effort as well. He must utilize the system to the best of its capabilities rather than just waiting for the rewards all the time. He would become a useless person if he did that, which no one wanted. Plus, it would be too boring for him. The system only allocated the rewards when it was deemed so by the system's standards. And waiting for that would be quite risky, so he had no other choice but to train hard like everyone else did. With this, he wouldn't feel bad in the future either. He was like that. If he kept receiving rewards with no effort, he would feel a lack of confidence when facing those who had put in efforts for the power. He made sure to train harder than others for the great power he gains. The demon hunt is on the edge now. I can only wait to see what will happen there. He had some concerns, from his sudden participation to the schemes the higher-ups have been cooking and how he might get dragged into unnecessary conflicts and troubles. He could only wait and see what would happen on the site of the trial itself instead of overthinking. It was time for others to know about him. The clan was going to know about the hidden existence that they have all ignored so far. It was time. Underscore 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 underscore. In the central area of the clan, a group of people were gathered in a place some distance away from the residential area. The most noticeable feature in the group was the presence of many children. They were the children of the Mystic Purge clan, specifically from the direct lineage of the family. There were a total of 20 children, 8 from the main family and the rest from the vassal families. What were the children from vassal families doing in there? It was an opportunity, a great opportunity for them to make their families climb higher in the hierarchy and maintain a closer bond with the main heirs of the clan. Not only that, it was witnessed that the rewards for the event were always very extravagant and mouth-watering. Even experts and veterans would crave such rewards in the outside world that were being spent on growing children. The Mystic Purge clan rewarded generously to those who had strength. Oliver reached the venue promptly, and no sooner did he reach, he received all sorts of stares from the present individuals. "Look over there, who's he?" A child from a vassal family asked his neighbor. "He has white hair, is he from the main lineage? But I never knew about him. My dad informed me about all the heirs and I thoroughly learned about them. If it was someone familiar, I would have recognized." I cannot sense any aspera from him too." "He's not weak, is he?" someone questioned. "I know, from my sources, he's the isolated one. I think his name is Oliver. The clan has some rumors that he has no talent and was thus isolated to save shame on the clan's name." A somewhat taller kid said as he looked at others. His voice had a hint of contempt. Naturally, they all have been raised to value strength and power above everything else and would look down on the weak. He did not seem to fear the consequences of belittling a main heir of the clan. Knowing Oliver's meager status in the clan, he believed that no one would say anything to him. The others who heard this were either shocked or seemed to be aware of it already. Immediately murmurs filled the group of children. What a joke! To think there was someone like this in the main family of the clan. Seriously, why are they even letting him live in the clan's estate? Kick him out already. My parents would have disowned me had I been born without any talent. Fucking bastard, enjoying clan's resources while being useless. Haha, even so, he has some guts to be able to participate in the demon hunt event. Does he not fear death, or is he simply stupid enough to believe that he could have a chance here? A kid couldn't help but be curious and ask. Another one sneered as he replied, "You've got it wrong. It's not that he doesn't fear death, but it's due to the clan's age-old tradition that all main heirs must participate in this event." The murmurs kept getting heated about him. They simply did not care whether Oliver could hear them or not. It was a rare opportunity that they got to trash talk about a main heir of the clan. It must be the first time ever that the children from the vassal families were bold enough to even speak ill of a main heir. It was chilling. Some still chose to remain silent and just observe the situation, and it was evident that the silent ones were the ones who were more influential and powerful than the ones chattering loudly. Oliver ignored them just like he ignored poop on the streets. He slowly distanced himself towards an alienated corner waiting for the elders to arrive. Huh? Look at this. Who do we have here? Oliver paused as he heard a familiar voice behind him. His blood started to boil as he instantly recognized the cocky voice. It was the third brother. The bastard who had beaten him last time. Oliver turned around and was now face to face against him. He calmed his nerves down. This was an opportunity that he had been waiting for a long time. This was the perfect place to get his revenge for last time. What are you looking at? Oliver looked to the side where the feminine voice came from. It was the third sister. Great, both of them were here. It would be easier to crush them together. I asked, what are you looking at? The third sister directly grabbed his collar when she saw Oliver ignoring her presence. She felt as though she were being ignored by an ant. Oliver said nothing and just looked at her with cold eyes. Chapter 60, Too Weak. Calm before the storm. Seeing his stare and gaze, she was becoming more and more infuriated. Was the lesson we taught you last time not good enough? She pulled him closer and whispered slowly with a cruel smirk. Oliver's hand trembled in anger as he had the urge to slap the cheek close to him. He endured and did not lose his temper. Going wild here was not the best considering the presence of so many witnesses. Whether he wants to accept it or not, these little bastards were supposed to be the elder siblings, and if he, a nobody, acted wild against them, then not only will he face prejudice but also lose the advantage of hiding his powers from others so far. It was better to deal with them once the hunt started. Hearing no response from him, she felt that he was now scared of her. Be grateful that we allowed you to live another day, know your place and never look us in the eye again in the future. She pushed him back with some considerable force, intending to make him fall on the ground. But to her surprise, he just stepped back as if he did not even feel her push. And in fact, this was indeed the case, he did not even feel her push because of the great disparity in their overall strength. Noticing that Oliver was still looking at her right in the eye as if her previous words meant nothing, a vein popped on her forehead. Oliver looked at her and said, "That's it? Too weak." He intentionally provoked her, letting the surrounding crowd hear them. You dash. Stop it, you're causing a scene. Shane put his hand on her shoulder and stopped her from acting any further than this. She might not be aware but she was just making a fool of herself in front of the children of the Vessel family. They were expected to be above them always and now Oliver's clear lack of respect even after a warning was just making it worse for them. If he wanted, he could have let his sister teach him a lesson and make an example out of him. But it would only make them look barbaric and unreasonable. In the end, they might have lesser support than their other siblings. While they valued strength above everything, it did not mean they were barbarians, they were nobles who followed after strength. Shane, let me be. I will make an example out of this bastard today. She gritted her teeth in anger. Oliver simply looked at her in the eyes as if giving a provocation. He would not attack her but if she did then he would resist and fight back. He was prepared to do so. Shane looked at his sister and whispered, "There are many people here, plus the elders would be arriving any time now. We can deal with him during the hunt." His words seemed to reason with her as she calmed down and looked at Oliver with a cruel glint in her eyes. She would make sure that he would become a cripple after the hunt for sure. With that, he took her away from the crowd. Oliver sneered, he wanted to see what would she do? Let the hunt start first, then he would deal with them. Oliver also diverted his mind. His mood was now bad because of this encounter. Although he appeared calm, his hand was trembling slightly in anger. He really wanted to pounce on them and beat them 10 times worse than they did to him. He looked around and instinctively activated cosmic void gaze, and felt the aspera of the children around, determining any potential opponents. Due to this, he found that all the children present here had a decent level of aspera for their age. It was understandable as the Vessel family sent their best kids out for this event after all. The age range was 5 to 10 years old for this event and if he was not wrong he came in the youngest group. It was ridiculous to let children participate in such a terrifying game of hunting but this was not the world that could be understood by common sense. This was the clan of the best exorcists around the world, and likewise, the children must also be the best among the best. Intellect, strength, influence, everything must be controlled since a young age. Haha. He let out a laugh as he felt a great amount of aspera radiating from some of the children. These were definitely the cream of the crop even among the crowd. He even spotted the second brother of his as well in the corner and found his aspera had increased as compared to before. Oliver suddenly felt his eyes narrow as he noticed a glowing lump of massive aspera in the corner. Short white hair, emotionless expression. It was Nadia, she was also there. He deactivated the special eyes and walked towards her and found her standing alone. The other children did not dare to come too close to her and were maintaining a sort of invisible distance. "Hey!" he called out to her, making her flinch slightly. She turned around, her expression as cold as it could get. And why not? She had warned him repeatedly to not even approach her. But this guy still dared to call out to her in this massive crowd. Was he stupid? She looked at him as if looking at an insect, and her gaze was terrifying. Oh, fuck. She's so scary. His heart almost skipped a beat due to the strong intensity of the gaze. He felt slight chills on his back. Oh my god. Look over there. This guy actually dared to call out to Miss Nadia. He is done for. Is he really an idiot? Causally approaching Miss Nadia, this idiot must be courting death for sure. The people around were shocked and whispered about this. Even if he's the twin sibling, he's still being too bold. However, contrary to everyone's expectation of him getting beaten up, something else happened. Nadia did not do anything and simply walked away. This scene shocked the onlookers a lot. Did Miss Nadia just walk away? That's it? What? I was expecting her to teach him his place. You're all foolish, why would she beat someone just because they approached her? A somewhat normal-brained girl asked, which quickly shut them up. Right. Why would she? Haha. Oh, of course, why would she? Only a brainless person would do something like that. Another one said, not knowing that they were all expecting that to happen, making them categorized as brainless. She's too generous and let him go. Chapter 61, Elder's Thoughts. These people are too noisy. Oliver couldn't help but feel speechless at their stupidity. They had sharp tongues and liked to lick the boots of stronger people. Something you'd expect from the children of vessel families. It was not that he blamed them, they were children and were raised in that way. How could they know what was right and what was wrong? It was their parents' fault that they raised them as such. Anyways, if they mess with him too much, he will simply teach them a lesson. Look. The elders are here. Oliver looked and saw a white-bearded man arrive at the scene. He had a straight back and sharp gaze, his aura was powerful and intimidating, truly worthy of being an elder of the Mystic Purge clan. He subconsciously used cosmic void gaze to observe deeper into the elder's true powers and instantly was met with a strong and radiant light. He squinted his eyes, the aspera the elder contained was enormous. He could not look without squinting at the direction. However, it was still not as strong as Jenna's aspera, not by a close shot. Her aspera was like a mountain, it was so bright and powerful that he could not even look in that direction without getting blinded. The elder frowned. No sooner did he arrive, he felt a very unpleasant sense of discomfort for some reason. He could not help but look at the little children looking at him in awe, however, he could not understand the sudden feeling. It was as if someone was observing him deeply, as if prying into his secrets. He neglected the feeling first as he was unable to sense any abnormality and focused on the children gathered before him. Today was an auspicious day and any carelessness on his end would result in a heavy punishment. Even Miss Nadia was present to participate in the demon hunt. Greetings, Elder. A lot of the children instantly bowed their heads. This elder was a powerhouse in this world of exorcists and demons, even their family heads would not dare to disrespect them. Seeing the obedience of the children, the elder was satisfied and nodded. Raise your heads, you are the proud talent that the clan raised. Show your worth and make us proud. He said a few complimentary words. Looking at the group, the heirs of the main family did not bow to him like others. His gaze narrowed as he saw a boy with white hair and beautiful gem-like eyes, sharing a deep resemblance to Nadia. Of course, he knew about Oliver. As a clan elder, he was responsible to learn about every heir properly for the sake of the future. Unexpectedly, a waste was also born in the patriarch's bloodline, which shocked him and others quite a lot, but given Nadia's dark title and huge talent, they did not pay him much attention. But suddenly, they were asked to invite him to the demon hunt as well, by someone very special. It was confusing and they were all quite appalled at the order from that entity. Of course, they did not refuse and instantly let the servants inform him too. Meanwhile, they put the capable ones to another task: gather every bit of information about Oliver since he was born. Information about what activities he had been doing recently, what sort of plays he has been into and what secrets he was carrying with him. The special entity who had ordered them was the clan guardian herself. Why would the clan guardian suddenly show interest in the unknown low-profile boy? It couldn't be that she just wanted to retain the tradition of the clan alone. They refused to believe that. If they were so naive, then they would not have been the members of the top 5 clans at the moment. They did question the guardian, but she did not elaborate her plans or anything. Sure enough, something was being cooked. They became sure of it after investigations results were out. The boy Oliver, he was changing every day, visiting the clan market regularly, purchasing many strange items regularly. From the reports, it was said that he had purchased a variety of weapons from different blacksmiths. In addition to that, he also purchased many martial art techniques. And from the maids, it was clear that he was training in his courtyard every day as well. From this, it did not take them long to join dots and come to realize that he had started to train on the path to become a physical exorcist. A bit surprising since they did not expect this turn of events, but it was not too big of a deal. Everyone knew, whether they wanted to agree or not, that physical exorcists would always be inferior to spiritual or aspera exorcists. Of course, there were many great exorcists in the physical path, but not every exorcist following that path had the talent or dedication to be like that. Not only that, even aspera exorcists could train in that path and gain double advantage in that aspect. In the end, they felt it was fine as long as Oliver was able to prove himself more useful to the clan in the future. Looking at Oliver's blank expression, the elder could not help but feel disappointed. No respect, no idea what was going on, lost in his own world. He felt that Oliver did not have a proper attitude fitting for an exorcist. It could be seen that he had a biased opinion. He did not care when the other main heirs refused to bow, but he was particularly judgmental when Oliver was lost in his thoughts. Oliver himself was not aware of the elder's state of mind, and even if he knew about it, he wouldn't care much. You were an elder, but what actions did you have to be acknowledged as one? Power? Sure. But the true respect one has towards an elderly person cannot be gained just by that. Did he personally guide him when he was isolated by the clan? Did he provide him with any resources when he needed them? Did he provide any techniques belonging to the clan when he wanted to improve? Did they care for his growth before the clan guardian announced his participation? No. So he had all the reason to not care about the elder's opinions or reputation. Chapter 62: The Demons. Secrets of Past. All the children are now here. I will now proceed to brief you all about the event. First of all, the event will be happening in a forest this year, a forest owned by the clan. After that, we will be assigning you with a sealing talisman specially made by our best experts. Use that carefully to capture the demon. Once used, it would not be usable again. If you feel that you have defeated a strong demon, then use it. If you feel that you can do better, then kill the demon and move forward. The test duration would be 1 day. As soon as the time limit is over, you will be directly brought out of the forest no matter what. On to the next matter. Competition is good, but threatening the life of others intentionally will lead to harsh punishments and disqualifications. Of course, if you try to kill another candidate, prepare for the worst. You will all be supervised by elders of the clan. Your performance will be assessed properly, so if you're thinking of cheating in this, then I advise that you better give up before getting demotion. He paused and looked at the dazed faces of the children before him. He further added. The highest level of a demon that you would find in that forest would be a minor level demon. Hearing this, the crowd had mixed expressions. Whispering started again. Minor level? That's it? Are they underestimating us? We belong to one of the 5 greatest clans. This is humiliating. Just a minor level demon? They should be as easy as catching chickens. A hot-blooded guy said. Hey, maybe there's a catch. What catch? I was expecting to face at least a mid-level demon. I even bragged about it to my little brother. A girl sneered and said. TCH. I even brought my ancestor's old sword that he used to use when he was a kid. The blood of a minor demon would stain its reputation. Another dumb-looking child said. Who cares about your ancestor's sword? I am fighting for my own pride. I want to be noticed by the main heirs. At that time, my family would directly soar to heavens if I am accepted by a main heir. That's true. Hearing the murmurs around him, Oliver realized that these kids were too naive. He wondered if they had even studied about demons or not. A minor-level demon was easy to hunt? It was making him laugh. Did they really think that the clan made this event without any prior research or experimentations? The elder clearly said that the highest level demon that they could find in the forest would be a minor-level demon. This meant that even the demons weaker than that level would be difficult for them to handle on their own. They clearly did not understand how tough a demon could be. He had the knowledge from the novel and knew about the class system that the demons followed very strictly. Minor demon, these were the weakest of demons, often summoned by inexperienced summoners or occurring naturally in areas with low aspera. They possess minimal power and were easily dispatched by skilled exorcists. That's right, these demons required a trained novice exorcist to deal with them. And they, mere children with no prior exorcism training, were going to face that entity. A demon was a being with the ability to conduct aspera as simple as breathing. They were born with more aspera as compared to average humans. Ferocious and aggressive, they were depicted as cruel beings, feasting on the flesh and blood of humans. They endlessly devoured and grew strong in their life. These demons ate the flesh and drank the blood of humans and gained more strength. Every time they consumed a human, they would grow stronger. If they killed an exorcist and devoured their bodies, they would grow even more powerful. Naturally, this was a great concern for the first generation of exorcists centuries ago. If they fought, there would be casualties and the demons would grow more powerful from the dead bodies of their comrades. Thus they came up with a solution, and that was to disintegrate or destroy the bodies of their fellow exorcists. A painful thing to do. Expecting to destroy the body of a comrade that once fought alongside you was not easy for anyone. But it was for the survival of humanity. At that time, it was either now or never. If they did not take this step, then the very existence of humanity would be at extinction. With a heavy heart, they started to disintegrate the bodies of exorcists that fell in battle. And this proved quite useful too, as the exorcists started to slowly push back against the demons. But it was getting harder and harder to achieve this as the demons also realized this strategy of theirs and started to hoard the corpses as soon as they killed a bunch. This led the exorcists to develop another cruel strategy for these clever demons. With a certain technique, they started to develop themselves in such a way that their bodies soon turned into a lethal poison for the demons. Their blood, their flesh, their aspera, all of it soon became a curse for the demons. As soon as the demons would dare to eat them after their deaths, the terrifying poison would immediately destroy them both physically and mentally. It would directly cripple them forever. And this poison method was so effective that till this date in the future, no demon was able to counter this. The exorcists kept the poison and the technique a strongly guarded secret. Even among the exorcist community, very few were aware of the actual method, and the rest were just fed the mild version of that poison. It was simple: the weaker the exorcist, the milder the dose. If the exorcist grew stronger, then they would naturally be told more things. It was reasonable, since the weaker exorcists would provide less power to demons and thus were given a lesser dose. While the bodies of stronger exorcists would tremendously benefit the demonic being, so they would need to be allocated more of the dosage. Chapter 63: The Demonic Familiar and the Beginning of the Test. Chapter 63. Nonetheless, this poison method worked well, and now humanity and demonic forces were on an almost equal standing for a very long period of time. Neither side was gaining an advantage. It was clear that the poison method worked very well, but the method to disintegrate the bodies of exorcists was still followed in some areas. It was now frowned upon slightly now that humanity has advanced so much. Of course, there were some stupid normal people who felt that this was immoral and protested in the normal human cities against this too. It was a pity. The strong ones of the past had created a peaceful time now and allowed them to live comfortably without any worries. With exorcists acting as guard dogs at the borders and facing bloodthirsty and cruel demons on a daily basis, they enjoyed an easy life in the cities. They were oblivious and unaware, and barely any of them had deep knowledge about the past of human-demon wars. They had forgotten about the cruelty of demons and their tyranny. They had forgotten the bloody sacrifice their ancestors had given. Destroying the corpse of your comrade, destroying the body of your friend, disintegrating the body of your loved ones, did they think that exorcists enjoyed doing such acts? The modern generation of normal humans had forgotten that even exorcists had a heart and wanted to live with peace, without risking their lives. Exorcists were also humans in the end. Some knew of this and respected that, but there were always those who didn't know any better and termed this act of body disintegration as cruel and inhuman. Inhuman? Calling the people who helped them maintain the concept of humanity inhuman was ridiculous. Exorcists were beings with powers beyond comprehension. They lived isolated from normal humans, knowing the conflict that would arise if mixed together. Jealousy, envy, and hatred were something easily gained by humans after all. And in the times they lived in, a conflict among themselves was the last thing anyone wanted. Not when they could gain an advantage over demons any moment or lose an advantage any moment. A minor-level demon required a formally trained novice exorcist to deal with them at the least. Although they were the weakest among the demons, they were still incomparably agile and stronger than normal humans. Their bodies were tough, and they were bloodthirsty, giving them a savage style of fighting. They would not hesitate to tear apart a weak human kid. And these children believed that they could subdue a demon of that level with their flashy and expensive tools. It was a pity that they were not better than this. Oliver could tell that some of the quieter kids had a more serious expression, possibly aware of the threat as much as him. Silence, the elder announced, accompanied by a light wave of his strong aspera, shutting every bit of chatter in the crowd. The aspera felt heavy upon the shoulders and was pressuring them into silence. Oliver felt the aspera and was equally pressured as others. He felt strained just as others. From his side view, he could see some of them being normal even under the burst of aspera, thanks to their inherent abundant aspera repelling the force. He was still doing better than many due to his superior physical powers. Feeling the absolute silence, the elder narrowed his eyes and said, "You fools, don't dare to take a demon lightly ever in your lifetime, underestimate one and lose your life. You are future exorcists and must engrave it in your mind and heart that no matter how weak a demon may seem, never ever take it lightly." The elder's words resounded in the silent surroundings, making the children nod slowly while trembling a bit. They all felt a chill when the serious words fell into their ears. However, Oliver could still see unwillingness in the eyes of some kids, not wanting to accept the fact that they would not be able to handle a minor demon on their own. Even the elder spotted that but did not say anything. Such children think we're too arrogant and would learn their lesson soon in their field. Anyways, that is that. I will now be taking you all to the forest. Bear in mind that you will be all observed by the elites of the clan. You must be on your best conduct in this event. If you perform well, an elder might consider taking you under their wing. Or it's also possible that you can directly serve under a main heir in the future based on your performance. Click. The elder clicked his fingers, producing a short sound. As the elder clicked his fingers, a sharp sound pierced the air, prompting every onlooker to crane their necks skyward. A cacophonous screech tore through the atmosphere, heralding the arrival of a monstrous presence. A colossal shadow eclipsed the gathering, casting a pall over the crowd as they beheld the fearsome sight above. High above, a massive demonic bird loomed, its wings spanning the heavens like a dark omen. Its feathers, as black as midnight, seemed to absorb the very light around them, imbuing the creature with an aura of dread. Crimson eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, fixating on the mortals below with a hunger that chilled the soul. With each beat of its wings, the air thrummed with power, and the creature's malformed beak parted, unleashing a roar akin to a roaring inferno. The sound of a roaring fire escapes the creature's deformed nostrils set within a curved nose. From its curved nose, deformed nostrils expelled plumes of smoke, adding to the aura of menace that surrounded the demonic avian. The creature descended with an ominous grace, its presence casting a long shadow over the land below. The elder said, looking at the fearful expressions. "This is my familiar, a demonic bird. It's from a species called ochre flash. I am sure that many of you have never heard of it. It's a powerful demonic being with strong control over the fire element. And today, it'll serve as our transport." With a cold voice, the elder directly climbed on top of the still bird and gazed below. Some of the strong-willed children did not delay and strode forward with tense steps. These children particularly included Nadia, the second brother, Oliver, and a few from vassal families. They did not ask for any help and climbed up the creature with a brave heart. The elder acknowledged them with a nod. He had not told them yet, but the test had already begun. Those smart enough should be able to tell this. Chapter 64 Familiar? Entering the forest. Chapter 64. The first and foremost thing was for them to overcome their fear of demonic presence. The malicious Aspera induced fear in those with weaker hearts and minds. As the children from the proud clan, they must not be influenced by this at all, or else they will barely be able to restrain themselves in a forest filled with demonic presence and malicious Aspera. Oliver assumed a seat in the middle. His heart was beating wildly with every second. He was brave only because of the assurance that the ominous bird would not attack them. The malicious Aspera was overwhelming and induced chills down his spine, not to mention the bloodthirsty eyes of this demonic creature. For him, someone used to a peaceful environment, this was a tough experience to say the very least. He thought with some astonishment, this bird was really feathery, its back was quite cushiony too, and he felt comfortable. If he was not wrong, at the academy, they conducted familiar summoning too. He'll make sure to get himself a wonderful familiar. The image of a fat white cat suddenly appeared in his mind. In the image, the cat was yawning and scratching its belly, looking really annoying. He shook his head and focused on the crowd at the ground. He looked down and saw the third sibling pair was still down, not daring to move much. They were still stunned by the presence of the demon. He sneered, it would be a pity if they get left behind. He could tell that the test must have already begun given the nonchalant expression on the elder's face. The elder would have helped the children climb up by now had it not been for the test. This was also one of the reasons that he quickly climbed up to avoid being left out. If this went on, he felt that half of the children present would get eliminated in this step only, not even getting a chance to hunt. He looked down and also saw the kid who had brought his ancestor's sword shivering in his boots and felt quite speechless. Just now, he was bragging about staining his ancestor's sword with the blood of demons, and now he was quivering in his pants. He was not going to piss himself, was he? Oliver looked over suspiciously. Fortunately, it was not the case, or it'll turn into a cursed memory for the kid. Some minutes passed as more and more children mustered up the courage and walked up to them. In the end, out of 40 children, only 27 were able to successfully climb up the demon bird. Not a bad number. This showed the courage and strength of the younger generation of the Mystic Purge clan. The elder glanced at the remaining children and disdainfully said, "Humph, you all are disqualified from the hunt. You are not worthy enough to bear the name of our great clan yet." He flicked his sleeves, and the demonic creature screeched as it started to fly high in the sky, its wings generating powerful wind currents with every flap. The current was strong, and they should have rolled down to the ground due to it, but unexpectedly, they remained seated in their positions, the wind seemingly not even affecting them. Is the elders doing? He wondered. Using the special eyes, he saw them enveloped in the elder's Aspera. covering them like a blanket in a dome shape. Wow! Look below. We're so high above the ground. A kid could not help but exclaim in surprise. I am having motion sickness. Aye. This is nothing for me. I even cleared the elder's hidden test. I am smart and powerful. UGH. The elder remained silent upon hearing such discussions. Sure enough, the younger generation was always the noisiest one. His earlier impression of them for being courageous decreased slightly. Look. The forest. After around 10 minutes of high-speed travel, they had finally arrived at the site where the test was going to take place. The demonic bird landed gracefully on the ground near the forest entrance, letting the children climb down one by one. They immediately noticed many other elders nearby observing them. In the presence of so many elites, it was natural that all of them felt some pressure on their shoulders. If they could prove themselves and their strength through this hunting event, then their future would be set on an easier path with more resources and influence. The elder who had been with the children so far looked at the others, and upon receiving the signal, he told the others. All right, here are your sealing talismans. He handed each one of them a paper with some runes inscribed on top of it. Use them wisely, they are precious and would only work once. The sooner you use this, the sooner your hunt will be over. After making sure that everyone was equipped with one talisman and their respective weapons that they had brought over, he said, on my signal, all of you will enter the forest. As soon as you step foot inside, your test and the hunt will begin. Beware, the elites are watching, so don't try something that will cause you trouble later. Yes, elder. Go. The elder signaled, and instantly all of the present participants rushed inside the green forest ahead of them. Oliver was also among them, and the first thing he did was to separate himself from the other participating children. He knew the closer he was to others, the more his chances of catching a good demon as his prey would decrease. Not only that, but he might even get attacked by the other candidates. Sure, the elder had said that it was against the rules to try to kill each other, but he did not say anything about mutual fights and injuries. Neither did he say about the scenario where one candidate might try to steal others' talismans. It was quite ambiguous, so he would rather not take the risk and be alone. Chapter 65, Hunting the First Ever Demon. Chapter 65. With some random twists and turns, he had already gained quite a distance between himself and the other participants. Zzz. Unzipping his backpack, he retrieved his rapier out of it and held it in his left hand while he securely tied the bag on his back. First, I should do a warm-up. He decided to first get used to a demon and its abilities. He was not sure what demons he might encounter and what their abilities would be, but one thing he was sure of was that they were all weak. They were all weaker than a minor-level demon. Fighting a demon would also help him realize his current stage, how well could he handle the demons, and what was his current power level. It would also provide him a general idea about how far he was from reaching rank 1 on his own without Nadia's help. He could not help but sigh. Once he received her Aspera talent, he would not need to worry about such things and could have a pace of progress of his own too. Gripping the handle of the rapier tight, he strode forward with suppressed steps. He would need a place to stay as well in case he was unable to hunt a strong demon quickly. And not to mention food, he could survive without food for a day, but water is a must thing. He didn't want to be distracted while fighting due to thirst or starvation. The demon sealing talisman was in his inner pocket secured. Rustle. Just as he was searching for a demon, his senses picked up a rustling sound from a distance. He walked slowly towards the bushes where the sound originated from, and his eyes caught a fast-paced shadow. The shadow was quick and rushed towards him. It was full of hostility and murderous intent. Clang. Oliver was sane and fast. He reacted in the last moment and used the rapier's long body to block the attack from the shadow. He quickly dodged to the side and gained some distance between them for safety. You're. He looked at the shadowy figure. The sunlight slowly revealed its features. A loud cry echoed through the chasm, hurting Oliver's ears. Suddenly, he saw a scary little creature coming towards him. It had angry eyes and made another loud cry. Its head was covered in lots of sharp spikes, and its body looked tough with strange armor. It had 6 legs and a long tail with a sharp point that dripped something thick. Huge wings spread out from its back, made of glowing bones and flames. The creature seemed to get scarier with each moment. The 2 enraged eyes stared at him with infernal madness. Its massive head was scarred all over. A wheezing breath escaped the creature's gnarled nostrils set within a pudgy nose. Upon closer look, he saw the skin on the demon was covered with dull-looking scales, perhaps acting as an armor of sorts for defense. The creature stepped closer to him, its 6 legs lumberingly carry its wicked body. Oliver remained vigilant, especially of the blade-like tail swirling behind it. The thick liquid dripping from the stinger on its tip was definitely poisonous for him. Juggling his memories for a second, and he was able to identify the demon easily. He had studied properly before coming to this forest. The demon was called Malagather and was more inclined towards the fire element, as evident from its eyes. The demon often uses its tail as a means to hypnotize the weaker prey before killing them. Clang! Another strike from the demon, but he was able to parry it. The demon's strength was not too bad, but he felt that he was stronger. Taking a step forward, he rushed straight to the demon, who attacked in response to the human rushing towards it. Swish! Clang! However, at the last moment, when the demon's poison-laced sharp tail was about to meet him, he used the body of the rapier to block it and jumped to the demon's right, catching it off guard. Without wasting a moment, he thrusted the sharp tip of the rapier with a good amount of force, piercing through the demon's eyes. Screech dash! The demon bellowed in anguish and pain as it hurriedly retreated a few steps backward, leaving Oliver surprised. He had thought that the demon was done for after being pierced in the head, but unexpectedly, it was still alive and kicking. Even after piercing through its eyes, the demon was able to sustain itself. It seems I have to hit the skull deeper. He was feeling a sense of disgust from the moment he had pierced the creature. He was never good with lizards even in his past life, and seeing such a large and disgusting demon made him repulsed. The sounds of flesh churning when being torn and pierced were sickening. He had no intention to attack the lower body of the demon. The armored scales on its body were tough and hard to break through. It might even damage his expensive rapier. So he was aiming for the skull only. Swish! Not wanting to give the demon too much time to recover and stabilize, he launched a series of continuous attacks, mimicking different styles of the rapier engraved into his memories from Nadia. Naturally, the demon was agitated as it realized the helplessness it was facing against Oliver. Instincts went into frenzy as the demon's eyes turned blood red, opting more aggression towards the enemy regardless of the weary state of the body. Oliver smiled. This was what he had expected. When cornered, the mindless demons turn aggressive and attack nonetheless. As he dodged the sharp tail attacks that were aimed to slice apart his limbs, he started to notice more and more open areas that the demon was vulnerable at. Clang! The tail collided with the shiny body of the rapier as he twisted his body and slid towards the ferocious demon. Utilizing the demon's confused state, he pointed the rapier up and used considerable force to pierce the skull of the demon just above him in a gruesome manner. Gurgle, wheeze. The demon let out a low and painful moan as it took its final breath in this world as its body fell to the side. Thud. Oliver quickly got up and made some distance. Ugh dash. He quickly put a hand over his mouth, preventing himself from puking in disgust. That was too disgusting, the smell, the unhygienic environment, the distorted insides of the demon, and the dark-colored blood. Suddenly experiencing this torment was a bit much for his brain that was used to cleanliness and hygiene of comfort at his clan. It took him a moment to get himself mentally stable as he finally looked at the demon's corpse. He now had to think about how he should deal with it. Chapter 66 Another Demon and Another Battle. He narrowed his eyes as he closely observed the dead demon in detail. It was now bleeding a darker version of normal humans' red blood. It smelled pungent just like sulfur, the smell of rotten eggs to be specific. He moved closer and carefully eyed the dull-looking scales on its back. I would like to have them, but I don't have the tools necessary for it to be extracted. He pondered with a thoughtful look on his face. he was sure that there were some places in the clan market that bought and sold demon parts for a good price. If he managed to gather some of the demon parts, he could later sell them and solve a money problem temporarily too. But unfortunately, he did not have any experience in butchering demons or extracting valuable parts. Neither did he have any tools for that purpose at the moment. His bag space was limited, and he didn't want to be restricted at the test entrance for carrying too much stuff. He sighed and looked ahead at the dense bushes. If he did not handle the corpse of this demon soon, then the blood and smell would attract other predators nearby, and that would turn into a huge problem for him too. It's a demon that is lower than a minor rank demon, it's weak and has not even formed a proper core, it's useless in all aspects apart from its body parts. He said to himself as he started to drag the corpse to the side. It's a demon that is lower than a minor rank demon, it's weak and has not even formed a proper core, it's useless in all aspects apart from its body parts. He said to himself as he started to drag the corpse to the side. As for the blood, to cover the blood, he used nearby materials such as dirt, leaves, and rocks. He would have preferred if there were water or fire available to completely erase, but for now, there was neither, so he could only mask the scent using fragrant flora nearby and reduce the visibility. Now onto the corpse. He dragged the corpse with him to some considerable distance from the scene. He could dig a shallow grave for the demon, but it was too much effort and a waste of energy. Since burying the demon was out of options, he used the heavy rock debris and branches and leaves to camouflage it and minimize the scent. This reduced the likelihood of attracting predators and demons to their vicinity. Fuck, I have the mind of a killer. He could not help but secretly exclaim at how proficient he was for his first kill. His brain worked many ways out to hide the corpse and blood. Was he always this dark? He shook his head to rid of such thoughts and focused onto other things. It was time to hunt more and more demons. Oliver did not stop and went around carefully with his hand holding the rapier tightly. His senses were on alert for any potential sneak attacks from a demon or another contestant. He was vigilant at the same time ambitious to hunt a good demon to get into ranking and obtain the fruitful reward from the clan. The rewards were quite good, and he was tempted to get his hands on one. Screech! In the dim light of the forests, he saw another creature, malicious intent radiating openly. Its form was small and wiry, hunched over as if burdened by its own existence. Its skin was colored in a sickly shade of gray, stretched taut over bony limbs, each joint protruding sharply like jagged rocks. Looking at the demon's gaunt face, he felt the demon sneer, its lips curled back revealing rows of needle-like teeth, stained with the essence of its prey. Sunken eyes, glowing in the dark, the gaze was filled with a hunger born of desperation. And to finish it off, there was a garden of twisted horns fixed on its head, small yet sharp. Infernal lineage, a Vexler. Oliver pointed his rapier forward as he directly attacked the demon head-on. This demon, although only had power only a fraction of its greater kin, it was a cunning but coward demon that would flee once it faced an opponent stronger than itself. Gore. With a snarl, the demon, though smaller and weaker than others of its kind, leaped at him with surprising speed. Its claws shone in the dim light, but Oliver was unmoving and did not move, acting as an unbreakable fortress for the small demon, intending to show the difference in power. The demon pounced, its claws were slashing at air with ferocity. Oliver stepped back, narrowly avoiding the deadly attacks, aggravating the demon with annoyance. With a swift thrust, he aimed at the demon's abdomen. Swish! His rapier sliced through the air like a viper striking forth. The demon twisted, narrowly avoiding the blow, but he had expected it. His movement was fluid as he kept attacking from all directions. As the demon lunged at him again, Oliver moved his body and bent, his body especially flexible after all the training. With a parry, he directed the demon's attack toward itself, leaving it off balance and highly vulnerable. Crunch! Screech! Seizing the golden chance, he struck as his rapier hit the mark with a satisfying crunch. The demon held in pain as it hurriedly recoiled, its form flickering in the dim light before slowly disappearing into a cloud of noxious ashes, an indication of the demon's infernal lineage. With a small grin on his face, he looked at the pile of ashes. It was convenient that he would not have to clean up the corpse and blood for this demon. He made sure to deliberately annoy the demon before so that it would not try to escape and keep attacking him, and slowly used its own attacks to finish it off. Another battle won. The efforts he had put and the rewards from the system together were finally showing fruits. Handling demons of this level was easy for him. He felt more confident in fighting against a minor-level demon now. This demon's ashes are used in making alchemical creations and should sell for some money in the clan's market, but where do I keep them? He pondered as he looked at the small pile of ashes before him. Chapter 67. They are here. Well, no choice, I should just carry it in my bag. He collected the ashes and wrapped them in big leaves, storing them in his bag afterward. He spent the next hour searching for a place to stay and rest. The forest was definitely big, and there were all sorts of natural spots and places to hide. He wanted a place closer to a water stream if possible so that he would not need to travel just to collect water. But there was, of course, the risk involved in getting entangled with other participants in this. Water is an important resource, and there were bound to be people vying for it. They must be thinking the same as him. He had awakened a water-attributed aspera and could quench his thirst in dire need, but not casually. He had a very minimal amount of aspera compared to others, and using water-attributed techniques would consume a lot of it, thus tiring him. His main goal was to conserve as much energy as possible in order to be prepared for any unknown variables. He simply could not afford the luxury to use his aspera for the simple purpose of quenching his thirst whenever he wanted at the moment. Having some aspera reserves was necessary. Gurgle. Gurgle. It was not long before his ears caught the sound of flowing water. He walked towards the sound's direction, and with some wrestling with the bushes, he soon found himself face to face with a flowing water stream. The water was clean and fresh. He neared the edge and drank a mouthful of fresh water. Feeling refreshed from the earlier bloodshed, he tried to locate a nearby shelter for him to spend the time. If possible, he wanted one that was not too far from the water stream. In the end, after spending another 30 minutes or so, he was able to locate an isolated den made out of rocks. It was not too deep nor too wide. He could hide himself within it. He decided to make this his spot and brought some larger rocks from the surrounding area and shifted them towards the entrance to make it look more natural and discreet. Stuffing his loot inside the den, he went out to look for stronger and better demons roaming in the forest. His goal was to somehow enter the rankings that were eligible to receive a reward from the clan. His cover was as good as blown. He knew the elders were already aware by now that he was training on the path of a physical exorcist, so it would be foolish not to use this to his advantage and extort some rewards. With his thirst quenched and his spirits buoyed, Oliver set about gathering supplies for the time ahead. He filled his water flask to the brim, ensuring that he would have enough to sustain him during the long hours of the hunt. He also gathered edible plants and fruits, supplementing his meager rations with the bounty of the forest. It was a resourceful place, no doubt. As he worked, Oliver couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. The sensation prickled at the back of his neck, raising the hairs on his arms in unease. Glancing around warily, he scanned the surrounding foliage for any signs of movement, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Am I being too sensitive? He wondered, considering the two demons he fought earlier really made him quite on edge, so much so that he was even bothered by the continuous splatter of water against rocks. Shaking off his paranoia, Oliver forced himself to focus on the task at hand. He couldn't afford to let fear cloud his judgment, not when his life depended on his ability to stay one step ahead of the demons that roamed the forest. With his supplies gathered and his resolve steeled, Oliver set off once more into the depths of the forest, his footsteps echoing softly against the forest floor. The hunt was far from over. In the next few hours, he encountered multiple demons. There was a demon with a lush head of hair adorning its swollen head, which itself was as coarse as sandpaper. Its swollen head was fixed on top of a small ossified body. Another demon he encountered had multiple scars and still open wounds covering its torso, suggesting that it was either being hunted by other participants or was being accompanied by other demons. One demon had the build of a tiny organism of blood and smoke with two barren eyes and a glacial malice. It had a bulbous head as thick as leather and a beak-like nose. He had a tough time killing that demon due to its small size and fast reactions. But in the end, he managed to finish it off. The last demon could have been a good catch, and had he used the talisman to seal the demon inside, he could have been worry-free. But his mind was not ready to accept this demon. He believed that he could definitely do better than this. And not to mention, that tingling sensation of being watched had come once again. Earlier at the water stream, he felt it was his delusion, and he believed so since the sensation disappeared when he left the water stream to hunt deeper into the forest, but now suddenly it was back. This time he did not think that it was due to the fact that he was on edge due to hunting demons. Someone was definitely watching him. And that someone was close. Without delaying, he activated Cosmic Void Gaze and scanned the surroundings once more. This time, he made sure to be discreet about it and not let the watcher know that he was searching for them. He did not want to alert the observer or observers that he had felt their gazes on his back. They were already being quite stealthy with their gazes, and had it not been for him becoming stronger in the past couple of weeks, he might have completely ignored it or missed it. But now, that was not the case. He pretended to act naturally and started to handle the corpse, while occasionally looking around to see if there were any demons nearby, while instead, he was looking for the observers. And he finally saw it. Ah! His lips suddenly curled up into a sinister grin. They are finally here. Chapter 68. His thoughts and unexpected wariness? They are finally here. He mused to himself as his smile couldn't be any broader at the moment. He quickly hid his facial expression, not wanting to let the observers know his state of mind or expressions. I have been waiting for a long time for this moment. He craned his neck as he slowly got up from his squatting position. He stretched his arms upwards and performed a basic set of exercises. His posture looked carefree and fearless, as if he were not even concerned about the vicious demons in the vicinity. A careless and improper attitude for an aspiring exorcist. Underscore 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 underscore. Did you see that? A boy asked his partner. The other party, however, remained silent. I stopped you earlier from engaging in a fight. Now do you think that I did the right thing? He once again asked, his tone laced with a hint of sarcasm and anger. The other party wanted to say something but stopped. Rustle. The winds blew lightly as the sun rays fell on the duo, revealing their features and identities at the same time. It was the third brother and third sister, the ones who had beaten Oliver last time. Ever since they had entered the forest, Shane had been constantly bothered by his sister about him stopping her earlier in front of so many people. She felt she had been insulted and wanted revenge. But he knew better. He was far more rational than her and knew how to hold their image in front of others. She was too impulsive in his opinion. Shane calmly looked at Oliver and the demonic corpse by his side as his mind went back to the time they had entered the forest together. Underscore 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 underscore. They were initially intending to deal with Oliver as soon as they entered the forest, but unexpectedly that guy suddenly rushed in a random direction. This greatly confused him and his sister. Was he scared of them? He might have known that they would be targeting him and decided to escape from the crowd and took a random direction. If not, then this move was quite reckless. The forest was infested with demons, and given his meager strength and aspera, he was doomed either way. Either he met them or the demon, it was a supposed dead end for him. He did not give him a chase at that time because he knew that sooner or later, they would cross paths if he was still somehow in one piece. Instead, they focused on their hunts, and he even helped his sister manage to seal a decent demon for the competition. He could have also gotten a demon, but she kept on insisting that they wait until they meet that Oliver. She wanted to get back at him for staring at her. He did not mind, they can always hunt another demon by the end of the hunt. So, they spent the rest of their time searching around for him while occasionally dealing with demons. In the end, as they were near the water stream, they finally spotted him drinking water. His sister wanted to immediately rush and attack him, but he stopped her. They discussed it and decided to observe him for some time. They were on the other end of the water stream and had concealed themselves pretty well considering their stealth abilities were their expertise. And good for them that they did this because instantly they saw him looking around in caution. This guy was able to feel that someone was watching him, even though they were so far in stealth. Shane felt good that they decided to stay low and observe him for some time. He wondered how he had survived for so many hours in the forest given his lacking abilities. From his earlier experience in teaching Oliver his place, he knew that Oliver was a weakling, a pathetic bastard sharing their clan's name. However, they once again lost him as he suddenly sped up deeper inside the forest. Due to their great distance from him and the obstruction from the long water stream, they once again had lost him. His sister was excited that Oliver was still functioning and well, she was too enthusiastic to beat him. He also had a pang of excitement in his heart when he saw Oliver. His hands had been itching for a long time. While he had not shown his discomfort earlier, he was also quite pissed off at Oliver for daring to disrespect them like that. They quickly followed the stream and went to the other side of the water where Oliver was some time ago. Shane tried to look for traces he might have left behind while going deep into the forest but was unpleasantly surprised when he found nothing behind. How could Oliver be so vigilant to not leave any traces behind? He was not an expert, should not have the knowledge of erasing traces, nor did he train in stealth techniques. They searched thoroughly and in the end his sister did start to find minor indications that he might have left behind. She was a genius when it came to using Aspera for stealth techniques. No dash. They were sure that these traces could only have been from him. Sure enough, he was feeling weird for nothing. It must be due to the natural terrain of the forest and their inexperience that they did not manage to find much traces. After an hour or so, they finally found him. But the scene they came across was unexpected and stunning. He was standing by a demon's corpse. And it was not a weak demon either, the corpse was torn apart as if sliced by a rapier or a blade. Even they would have had some difficulty subduing that demon given its tiny frame and fast speed. Shane's eyes shone as he looked at the corpse. It was worth it if he could seal the demon in his talisman. It was a good demon that could guarantee a spot for him in the top rankings. But one thing he was unable to understand, what was this guy Oliver doing next to the corpse? It couldn't be that he hunted that demon? No, it was impossible. He refused to believe as such. He still remained cautious. He saw him squatting by the demon inspecting the corpse perhaps. His heart stirred as he felt this demon was going to be sealed by Oliver's talisman and not by his. Chapter 69 Obtaining 10x Benefits. A martial arts technique. There he is. Shane, this time, no one can stop me from breaking him. Do you have anything to say? The voice of his twin sister brought him back to reality as he glanced at Oliver with some wariness. Is this really going to be fine? Why do I feel so uneasy? Shane shivered slightly. He felt as if he was being stared by the entire sky at the moment. His back was covered in chills. Shane. His sister tugged at him as she saw him dazed. She wanted to hurry and teach Oliver a lesson he would never forget, but for some reason, her calm brother was acting weird for a while. I am feeling nervous? Of what? Of this weakling? Shane gritted his teeth. Why was he being like this? Was he a coward? No. He belonged to one of the greatest exorcist clans in the entire world. His blood was divine, his arts were superior, and he was stronger than any of his peers. How could he be nervous of facing a pathetic bug they had crushed not long ago? Whether it was now or before, a bug was a bug. It cannot compare to someone like them. They were superior in every way imaginable. It was a typical trait that was found in all the children of the Mystic Purge clan. Arrogance and pride. They did not like to be looked down upon by others no matter what. They would be easily triggered by the tiniest of the details. They would use strength to establish dominance in all scenarios. Shane looked at Oliver's back with keen eyes. There was still a hint of caution in his eyes, but that was soon clouded by the anger and greed. He looked at his sister and finally said, "All right, we will do as you say." The girl's tender face broke into a wide smirk as she saw her brother agree finally. Crack. Cracking her knuckles, she looked down at their target and said, "Then what are we waiting for? Follow me, I will start." Underscore 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 underscore. They moved. Oliver did not stop looking at the blank air in front of him as he sensed the two move from their position, drawing closer. Why did he not stop looking? Because instead of invisible air that was supposed to be in front of him was a black floating screen. Ding! The target has mastered the martial arts technique, fading single deception strike. Ding! Obtaining 10x benefits. Eternal 12 Lies Palm has been obtained. Integrating. A sharp pain assaulted his mind as his vision started to blur for a moment, his balance shifting. He had a feeling of nausea, but he quickly adapted thanks to his prior experiences. A flood of dense information about the Eternal 12 Lies Palm entered his mind, a series of moves and arts. He felt slightly dizzy as his muscles and nerves started to shift and adjust. Crack! Swish! Popping sounds started to ring in his ears as he felt his bone adjust to the experience that came along with it. This was all due to the terrifying amount of experience that he received. His muscular system, nervous system, and organs adjusted to bear the power of the technique. He felt slightly happy that he had been regularly training himself, or this experience would have directly caused his mind to break in pain. He could not imagine how his weak, untrained body would have managed to bear the sheer stress placed on it due to this technique. He would have directly collapsed under this pressure. Nadia had somehow mastered fading single deception strike in the middle of the forest. It could be due to the fact that she was finally exposed to demons that her growth suddenly accelerated. Fading single deception strike. This technique allows the user to deliver a deceptive blow, appearing to fade from sight just as it lands. Its benefit lies in its ability to confuse opponents, making it difficult for them to predict the attacker's movements and defend against the strike. On the other hand, Eternal 12 Lies Palm, this is way more potent technique, an evolved version of the previous one. This allows the user to conjure 12 potent illusions with a single strike. Each illusion can be shaped into its own form as per the user's will and movements, confusing the enemies with a multitude of deceptive moves. It's so effective that it's no longer a deception but a straight lie. Thus the name 12 Lies. It overwhelmed the enemies with a barrage of illusions, with a heightened versatility as it can deceive multiple opponents simultaneously. It has increased potency too, since each illusion has the potential to strike independently, making it way more lethal. Haha. What a great timing. I just have the perfect targets to practice this on. His eyes narrowed as he felt the two sneaky figures close up to him. They were now just behind him. He turned around and was now face to face against the two siblings. Memories of the past where they had brutally beaten him appeared, making his blood boil slowly. "You're here?" He looked at the two and said with a smile. Shane, who looked at his unsurprised and calm expression, had a burst of ominous feeling in his heart once again. Why is he so calm? Was he expecting us? Was he aware of our presence? That can't be. His mind suddenly thought of countless possibilities, but just as he was thinking about them, his impulsive sister spoke up. "Oh? Look who we have here. It's the little maggot who dared to be rebellious against his elder siblings earlier," she said sarcastically. "Where are your manners? How about kneeling down and kowtowing to us for your rude behavior from earlier? Come on, show your respect," she said as waves of aspera escaped from her body, targeting Oliver to make him feel a dose of her power. She was expecting him to be thrown back by this. He, a being with minuscule aspera, would not be able to contend against her with abundant aspera. However, contrary to her arrogant expectations, the reality was far different. Oliver snorted and stood unmoving as he let the aspera waves hit him. His body was tough and his strength level was 4, not something that could be thrown back with this girl's little aspera. Oliver stood unshakable, his gaze condescending as he looked at the puzzled and surprised face of the girl. "Respect? Do you deserve it?" Chapter 70. Who's the bug here, third sister? Respect? Do you deserve it? His words directly made her choke on her next words. She was really infuriated with him and threatened. So it's like this, then it's our duty to instill manners into your thick brain, isn't it? Are you capable enough to do that? I will allow you to lick my feet if you beg right now. Oliver directly provoked her. The one thing he was good at was provoking others. With an arrogant laugh he looked at her as if he was looking at an insect. Sure enough, his sharp words had an effect as multiple veins popped on her forehead. Since her birth till now, she had never been looked down upon by anyone. Nor anyone had ever dared to speak to her in this manner. Such trash talk was really getting to her. This guy seemed to have forgotten the beating they had given him some time ago. Good. She roared. She could not hold it any longer and lunged at him, her fingers curling into a fist. She was going to use her strength to subdue him now. Despite her tender age and weak frame, the presence of abundant aspera in her body automatically had enhanced her powers. So her punch carried a strong force behind it, and it was enough to hospitalize a normal adult male for several months. She really intended to cripple Oliver this time for good. What about the elder's warnings before the hunt? That she did not care about too much, since all the warning that the elder had given were about not killing each other in the demon hunt. There were no rules that stated no mutual fights can occur between two or more participants. There was also no guarantee that they cannot cripple each other either, although it was heavily frowned upon by the community. But who was she? She was one of the main heirs of the clan. She did not care about the consequences of her actions. Strength rules supreme. He was a waste anyways. Even if she crippled him to a vegetative state, no one would care too much. She rushed up to him and swung her fist at his abdomen. Oliver did not wait either. He was not careless this time around. If he was bold and took her punch directly, he was bound to get hurt. And he could not afford to take that risk given that Shane was also there with her. Naturally, he was at a disadvantage against two aspera users with very little aspera of his own. Even if he took one of them by surprise like he did with the second brother, the other one would be there to back up. He was serious and did not hesitate to block the attack using his own fist. He moved and threw a punch at her with a greater force. Bang! The two punches collided and a loud sound of bone hitting bone was produced. Act dash! You bastard dash! How dare you! The third sister could not help but let out a painful groan as she felt the impact on her hand. A look of shock appeared in her once proudful eyes as she found it hard to comprehend what was going on. She actually was hurt by a trash. Oliver saw his chance as the third sister recoiled from the force of his blow. He pressed his advantage, launching into a barrage of punches and kicks. His muscles strained with each strike, fueled by fire of revenge and adrenaline. But the third sister was no pushover. Despite the pain shooting through her hand, she fought back fiercely, channeling her aspera into swift and precise attacks. Bolts of energy crackled around her fists as she aimed for Oliver's vulnerable spots. She had long realized that they had severely underestimated this guy. She didn't know how, but somehow this guy had managed to become this strong since the last time they saw him. She was hit multiple times at various body parts, and each hit from his fist felt as if someone was striking her with a hammer. It was very painful. Only she knew how hard it was for her to keep her balance using almost all of her aspera. She had never imagined being cornered so badly by a weakling, if that's what he was now. She was not even given the time to properly think before he attacked her. He was really ruthless in his attacks. She could tell at a glance that if she got a serious hit by him, she would directly have her bones broken. He intended to cripple her back. A burst of anger exploded in her heart when she realized this. She refused to be pushed back like this. Their movements became a blur as they exchanged blows, each refusing to yield an inch. Oliver's strength was undeniable, but the third sister's aspera gave her speed and agility beyond that of a normal fighter. Oliver for the first time realized the usefulness of aspera. He, who had superior strength than her in every aspect, was being equally matched by her as she implied aspera into her moves. This was an eye-opener for him. It made him realize the difference between the physical exorcist and an exorcist with aspera. However, Oliver's thirst for revenge began to tip scales in his favor. He slowly started to anticipate her moves, dodging her strikes and landing his own with increasing accuracy. He intentionally hit her spots where she was the least guarded and slowly slowed her down. Dash. She cried out in severe pain. She could feel her bones crack under the intense pressure. It was very painful. With every punch, he felt the satisfaction of gaining ground against his opponent. It was an addicting feeling as he felt his punches connect to her body. The scene of her getting bruised by each of his punch overlapped with his memory of him getting beaten half to death. Oliver aimed for a strong attack at her, intending to finish her off with it. Bang! Just as victory seemed within reach, a new presence entered the fray. Shane, the third brother, stepped in between the two with a menacing grin. Oliver's expression crumbled slightly as he realized he was outnumbered once again. He was so into fighting her that he even forgot about him for a second. It was almost night by now as moon had started to appear in the sky. Oliver quickly stepped back and made some distance between them in order to not get a surprise attack. He could feel the strength of Shane's hand just a moment ago when he had interfered. He was not weak. Neither did he lack aspera nor physical power. Oliver relaxed his stance, unzipped his bag. He took out his rapier. This was going to get bloody,